This is Michael Woodward, and this is Season 3, Episode 212 of the Jumblethink Podcast.
T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Jumblethink Podcast, where we interview amazing people about their journey of turning dreams and ideas into reality. Along the way, we'll share some tips on how you can turn your own dreams and ideas into reality too. Today on the podcast, we are talking about the power of wonder. More about that in a minute. If you're new to the Jumblethink Podcast, or if you've been listening to it for a long time and you haven't subscribed to the Jumblethink Podcast, head on over to wherever you like to listen to podcasts and click that magical subscribe button. While you're there, leave us a rating and review so others will know what you think of the podcast too. Now let's jump into today's episode. Hey there, welcome to the Jumblethink Podcast. My name is Michael Woodward. I am your host. Have a really fun topic for you today. We're going to jump into that in a moment. Before we do that, we want to thank our sponsors for today's episode, OpportunityInChina.com and Mighty Travels. Here's a little bit more about our friends over at OpportunityInChina.com. Have you been looking for a way to change your career or social prospects? Do you see the world around you changing and haven't quite figured out what path you should take? You are not alone in seeking opportunity. Visit OpportunityInChina.com for access to scholarships to attend university in China. Or if you have a bachelor's degree already, OpportunityInChina.com provides access to jobs in the educational sector all across China. Now, working in China is not only often well paid, but it will place you among 1/5 of the world's population, boosting your social network, bringing you more deeply into the story of globalization, and opening up doors you never knew existed. So seize your opportunity now. Visit their website for more information at OpportunityInChina.com. By the way, they have a killer podcast that talks about this topic, so simply search for Opportunity in China Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. We also want to thank our friends over at Mighty Travels for sponsoring today's episode. Here's a little bit more about them. How much time do you spend looking for the right flight for your trip? Do you spend hours searching all of the different travel websites only to find out that once you booked your ticket, you missed out on a better price? Well, our friends over at Mighty Travels are here to help you. They want to make sure that you get notifications in real time so that you can score the best tickets at the best price, saving on average $190 per ticket. Well, they are doing cool stuff, so you want to make sure to check them out. Swing on over to mightytravels.com/jumblethink. That's mightytravels.com/jumblethink to learn more about how they can help you know when the best fares are hitting the market so you can grab them up before they're gone. Today on the podcast, we are talking about the power of wonder. Now, last week on the podcast, we started a 2-part series. This is part 2 of that series. If you've missed that, I would recommend going back and checking that episode out first. In that episode, we talked about the power of boredom. And in the episode, we talked about how boredom can be actually a great place to find creativity, to find the answers to your questions, and so much more. We gave some practical tips on how you can build a life of boredom. I know it sounds weird, but you should go check it out because it will help you have some insight on a missing part of our society right now, which is that moment where you have to think creatively to solve that boredom solution. And because we have so much content, because we have so much connection, it's very easy to have our lives filled and not have the space to process and think and create. And so boredom is this superpower that helps you in that process. So go back and check that episode out if you missed it. Today, we're going to go a little bit further and continue the conversation and talk about the power of wonder and how wonder is a beautiful thing in the journey of chasing ideas and dreams. So here we go. If you've been listening to the podcast for a long time, you will know that when we talk about a specific word or phrase, the first thing we do right from the start is to give a baseline, to give a foundation for the conversation. If we're defining the word differently from one another, if we interpret it or view it with our own presuppositions, our own worldview, our own experience, then we're not speaking the same language. And that will destroy the conversation that we're having today. So I looked up wonder, and there are two key definitions we're going to focus on today. The first one being a noun, and they define the word wonder as a feeling of surprise mingled with admiration caused by something beautiful, unexpected, unfamiliar, or inexplicable. The second definition is very simple. It is to be curious, to know something. So it's that desire to explore possibilities. When we chase dreams and ideas, wonder is used differently based on the situation, based on what we're trying to solve, based on the challenges we're facing. And so wonder is a somewhat fluid technology, not technology from the standpoint of machine, but technology as a tool to help us respond to the world both passively and actively. If you're like me, in the last several years, our lives have become more cluttered. And we talked about that a little bit in boredom, and I'm not going to revisit that. But our lives are cluttered by noise. And what I mean by noise is our lives are being cluttered by tons of content we're consuming, whether it's Netflix or Amazon Prime or traditional television or podcasts or vlogs, the radio. There's so much content out there that we can be consistently and actively engaged with, that our lives are filled with noise. And when noise is happening, it is very hard for us to have the clarity to really engage in wonder. And the noise, it changes from life seasons. When I was younger, I didn't have as much noise because I didn't have as much responsibilities, whether it was with our agency and customers or whether it's with being married and having 2 kids now. The noise of life has changed, and not all noise is bad, but sometimes it can be overwhelming, and at times it can get unhealthy. If we look at the first definition, a feeling of surprise mingled with admiration caused by something beautiful, unexpected, unfamiliar, or inexplicable, what we see here is that this is an active choice. This is an engagement of awareness that opens up the doors to wonder. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that in this definition of wonder, we have to step back and not be distracted by things or situations or the noise of what's going on. We have to then have an awareness to take in what's around us. If you've ever driven somewhere on repeat every day, maybe it's a commute somewhere, maybe it's going to the grocery store or picking up kids from school, whatever that looks like for you, when you take that journey, we often go on autopilot and all of a sudden we're there. It's that road trip where you're driving and you just go, how did I get here? And that can unlock a couple places of wonder. If you're listening to the radio, I often listen to NPR when I'm driving by myself. The wonder is filled by the conversations I'm hearing and engaging mentally with. Someone may say something on a specific show that may cause my mind to then go off and explore that thought. And I may discover something internally. I may learn something, and I may grow from that. And that is a form of wonder. It's being engaged with something that then triggers our thought processes to meander through to wherever they arrive. But more often than not, we just kind of check out. We turn off, and the noise becomes just a static that covers up the ability to think and process. And coming back to this, you've gone on those road trips, you've gone on those journeys, and when you do that, all of a sudden, you've been doing it for years, and you go, when in the world was that put there? It might be a new store, or it might be a building that was torn down. And you just all of a sudden go, wait, that just changed. And it could be years before you noticed it, or it could be something that you should have caught on to weeks or months or years in advance that has always been there. And if you're like me, those moments where you go, wait a second, where'd that come from? It opens a new awareness to what's around you. In that, it sparks admiration for things. And in this definition, you look, it's caused by something beautiful. If you've ever been hiking or you've turned off that noise, maybe you've gotten alone, or maybe you've brought people along, but you're in a situation where you're admiring the situation around you, you begin to see things that are beautiful. And that wonder brings a sense of awe and inspiration. You see a sunset that's beautiful. You see nature that's beautiful. You maybe live in a city like New York City or San Francisco or Austin or wherever you are, and you're walking around, and instead of looking at your cell phone that day, you look up and you see massive buildings and the architecture, or you see people engaging with life. And that sense of beauty inspires you. You could also be caught off guard by the unexpected. I talked about that a little bit, about when you're journeying on a trip that you do and it's routine. Sometimes something unexpected catches your attention that you never noticed before. Wonder can also happen in a place where you change the situation, the location, the environment that you're in, and it's unfamiliar. And because of that, your brain begins to consume what's around you, and that wonder sparks. And then there is the unexpected, the unexplainable, and it causes this place of wonder. It could be a friend or a relative that all of a sudden who was sick is no longer sick. Maybe they had an incurable disease and all of a sudden it goes into remission. And it's unexplainable, and you wonder in the miracle of life. So as we look at the noun version of wonder, what it unlocks for us as dreamers and idea makers is about building a lifestyle of wonder. It's proactive. It's being aware of what's around you and what's happening. What will that do for you? Well, it will do lots of things. One, you will experience the unknown because you are aware of what's happening around you. It will unlock that possibility. And when you do that, the beauty of what happens there is that all of a sudden you'll see problems that you can solve, or you'll see something that inspires you to do something differently. I can think back when I was a kid, one of the dream jobs I always wanted, and I think during the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of people my age wanted to do it, was marine biology. And you have to wonder, what caused that desire for marine biology all of a sudden to spike? Could it be the movie Free Willy? Possibly. Could it be the mass consumption of SeaWorld? Could be. Could it be the resurgence of aquariums as a museum-esque display that you go and see nature there? So the question becomes, why did a generation get so inspired by marine biology, by water, by dolphins, by whales, by nature in the ocean? And I think it was a place of wonder that was inspired by the situations around us, and it caused us to dream. It caused many people to have ideas to solve problems. There was the Adopt the Whale program. There was different conservation. And of course, we're seeing the fallout from that now of people going, maybe SeaWorld isn't the best option for seeing nature or keeping it in captivity. Maybe there's a better way to engage with nature and see the beauty in its rawest form, in its most real form, instead of cooping it up. And so this place of wonder birthed desire. And that desire then led to curiosity. And that curiosity then led to questions. Those questions led to innovation and ideas and dreams that unlocked a new future. So wonder leads us down this journey of unlocking a whole slew of things that open up dreaming and idea making. This is why wonder is so critical to the journey of idea formation and innovation, of being an idea maker, of being a dreamer. But first, you have to be aware. You have to take in. And I think that's one of the challenges in our society right now, because we're so connected, because there's so much content, because we're always on the go and have the device to keep us tethered. I honestly think that we've lost this sense of wonder to an extent, which breaks my heart. And technology, in one sense, also then unlocks and locks another thing. When we were kids, there would be questions and conversations that would arise. And those questions would be like, oh, what other movies has so-and-so been in? Because their name came up in a conversation. Or, I wonder what the answer to the history of Philadelphia is. Or, how many Grammys did so-and-so win? Now, because factual data, because information is so readily available and accessible to us, we no longer have to wonder because we can always have our answer. I wonder sometimes if that's a good thing. Sometimes it's better to not have the answer, even though the answer satisfies us in a moment. Well, what does that mean for you? Well, look, the answer is that in this case of wonder, if you don't have the answer, it allows you to dream and come up with solutions. And those solutions may be better than the solutions that already exist. Or they may solve a problem that hasn't been solved. So as you put yourself in a place of wonder in this situation, it allows you to no longer have the easy answer, but it allows you to explore the possibilities in your own mind. It allows you to explore the possibilities in conversations with others. And sometimes it's not about being right. Sometimes it's about the discussion and the argument and the tension in not knowing. Wonder unlocks this for us, and wonder gives us the ability to begin to create paths to a future we didn't know. In a moment, we're going to come back and we're going to go a little bit deeper and talk about wonder as a verb. Our passion at Jumblethink is to help you turn your dreams and ideas into reality. You know the podcast and the amazing guests that we get to connect with and share their stories about how they've innovated and made their dreams a reality. You've checked out our topical episodes, which are really, really great resources to help you along the journey with some practical tips. You may have even downloaded our free guides at jumblethink.com/guides. But we are so excited about a new service we're offering, an event called Idea Camps. I need your help, though. And it's in a different kind of way than you may have ever been asked before. I'm not looking for you to register today. I'm not even looking for you to share it to your friends and family. Instead, I want to make this event an event that serves people like you, that gives you the tools and resources to create the strategy and roadmap so you can execute on the dreams and ideas you have. To make this event perfect, I need your feedback. And then the next week, we'll be launching a little survey to get your feedback. You don't even have to put your name down in there. But we want to craft an event that serves you and gives you the resources to make those dreams and ideas a reality. We'll be posting the quiz on our social channels. It won't take you long to answer the questions, 5 to 10 minutes. Beyond that, we're also going to be sharing it on our newsletter. And if you haven't already, swing on over to jumblethink.com and sign up for our newsletter. You'll find the newsletter sign up pretty much everywhere on the site. Your input will help us craft the perfect event to make Idea Camps unlock the reality for so many others in their pursuit of chasing dreams and ideas. I really appreciate your help, and it really sets us up for success to help others succeed in their dreams and ideas too. We also want to take a moment right now and thank our sponsors, OpportunityInChina.com and Mighty Travels. Here's a little bit more from our friends over at Mighty Travels. One of my favorite things to do is to travel, but often I am spending hours, maybe even days, looking through travel searches for the right airfare. Our friends over at Mighty Travels make it so much easier. You can go in, set your desired location when you want to go, and get notifications sent to you via email and text message so that you can grab those special deals when they're there. If you want to save money, up to even like $190 per ticket, Mighty Travels is the place to check out. So swing on over to mightytravels.com/jumblethink to learn more about how you can access some great notifications to get the best fares for your trip. Again, that's mightytravels.com/jumblethink. Go on over, check them out, and start saving on your trips. We also want to thank our friends over at OpportunityInChina.com. Here's a little bit more about them.
At the dawn of the 19th century, forward-thinking people moved to the commercial centers of Europe. Moving into the 20th century, America welcomed millions into the land of freedom and opportunity. It is now the 21st century. Many of the successes and fortunes of our generations will be made in China. To learn how you can seize opportunity in China, follow the Opportunity in China podcast. The Opportunity in China podcast is available anywhere podcasts are streamed, or you can visit our website at opportunityinchina.com.
Now let's jump back into today's episode all about the power of wonder. We are back for the second segment as we talk about the power of wonder. I hope you enjoyed the first segment and it's really challenged you to think a little bit differently. Now in this segment, we're going to talk a little bit about wonder from that verb kind of look, which, to remind you, the definition of wonder as a verb is to be curious, to know something. Somewhere along the line in America, we've begun to lose our curiosity. Curiosity to learn, curiosity to experience, curiosity to adventure into the unknown. Curiosity is a powerful tool in innovation and idea formation. When you are curious, it unlocks the possibilities to learn and experience a future that you haven't known before. When you step into wonder, this kind of curiosity is a little different than, just your standard curiosity. It is almost an addictive, unrelenting wonder, unrelenting curiosity. So when I talk about curiosity in this case, what I'm talking about is saying, I've got to rip this apart. I've got to figure out all the little pieces that come together to create this. This kind of curiosity is that child that you may know who takes apart everything, whether it's a TV or a radio if they can find one, or they take apart their toys and they dissect it. What they're doing is using curiosity and wonder to explore that unknown thing and get to a solution on how something works. This kind of curiosity drives us forward as innovators. It's an unaccepting of the status quo, an unaccepting of the conventional thought. When you step into curiosity that drives you to wonder, it is, like I said, unrelenting. It causes you to want to keep going until you know the answer. Of course, in the first segment, I talked about how we don't have to be curious anymore, really, because we have all the answers on Wikipedia or on a Google search. And so we accept the known idea, the known dream, and we're no longer curious. Our wonder stops, and it doesn't consume us, driving us to that creativity that rethinks and reshapes the way things are. So for us in this conversation, I want to encourage you to go a little bit deeper into your wonder. Go a little bit deeper into a driving place that makes you curious, that unlocks your creativity. Creativity and curiosity are so important to the journey of idea formation and innovation. If you have an idea and dream, you must be curious to get to the answers to that solution. What does that mean? Well, let me give you a few examples. When John F. Kennedy talked about the space program, there was a curiosity. What is out there? And what can we do to find out what it's like on the moon or in space? And so they set out with curiosity, with wonder. The wonder drove them to the curiosity. The wonder was, what is out there? What is the moon made out of? What is our solar system like? What is space like? What is that experience? So that wonder brought them to a place of curiosity. Well, what if we can go experience it? What if we can go see it? What if we can go see what those resources are like on the moon? The environment's like. And so that led them to a place of, now they have an idea and a dream. We're going to go to space. And then we're going to go to the moon. We're going to go put people on the moon so they can bring back information about the unknown, the place and point of wonder. From there, that idea, that dream turned into a reality by putting a strategy behind it that led him to a place of going through and answering the questions they set out to answer. What would it take to put a person on the moon? What are the resources we need? Do we need oxygen? Okay, we need oxygen. Do we need space suits for when they're outside of the space shuttle? Yeah. Okay, well, good. So that led to another place of saying, what else do we have to create? And now they're inventing and they're innovating and they're solving all of these problems. And then not only did they solve the problems, not only did wonder drive them to this place, now they executed on it. Now let's shoot people up in a rocket to get out to space. Now that we've gotten out to space, let's shoot them out so that they can go around the moon. Now that they've gone around the moon, what do we need to do to get them there and put them on the moon? And so that process of wonder led them down a journey of discovery, of curiosity, of problem solving, of creating new ideas and dreams and solving the unknown to make it known. This wonder was the catalyst for everything else that happened. So if you're an idea maker, if you have ideas, if you're a dreamer and you have dreams, step back, and instead of having all the answers, step back and instead of having every solution, begin to wonder. And let wonder lead you on the journey of discovery and unlocking the future that is yet to be created. Wonder is a powerful, powerful tool in our journey as idea makers and innovators. And in a moment, I'll be right back to share a little bit more about how we can actually apply this to our journey. It is hard to believe that we are a month into season 3 of the Jumble Think podcast, and for me, this has been my dream season. In the past, we've had a lot of incredible guests. People like Phil Rosenthal and Bill Sheft, Meb Kefleski, all people I love to have on the podcast, and I've wanted to create a season of dream guests just like them. And this season has been that for me. When I started the podcast, I created a list of 10 people I wanted on the podcast. And in this season, we've already had one of those guests, a guy named Ben Flanner, the co-founder and CEO of Brooklyn Grange. But on Tuesday, we have the second guest from that list. His name's Erwin McManus. He is a personal hero of mine, a person that I am constantly inspired by, whether it's his books, whether it's something he's speaking at, whether it's a post that he's putting on social channels. His life inspires me to dream big. He is a pastor of a church called Mosaic in Southern California with multiple locations there. He's a futurist. He's worked with businesses as a consultant. He's owned fashion lines. He has created incredible documentaries. Just a really, really cool guy. And beyond being our guest on Tuesday's episode, he's also launching his brand new book on Tuesday. It's called The Way of the Warrior. I've read it. We talk about it in the podcast. We talk so much more than just that book, make sure to check out that episode. Make sure to check out his book that's coming this Tuesday. Now let's jump back into our final segment of today's episode. We are back and wrapping up today's episode. I have a couple questions for you and a couple suggestions. When we think about wonder, it is something that we've lost the art of wonder in our lives. The first thing I want to ask you is, how are you wondering? Are you being intentional about taking in what's around you and not being trapped on your devices or in the content that consumes us? Are you taking in things that inspire you, places you find beauty? Are you being challenged to take action on those dreams and ideas? Are you being challenged to find a place of wonder that leads you to creativity? If you're not, something has to change. Where do you start, though? How do you get going in building a lifestyle that incorporates the power of wonder to unlock your dreams and ideas? Well, the first thing you need to do is choose to turn things off that distract you from wonder. That may mean that once a week you turn off your cell phone and you go for a walk or a run. You go for a drive. Maybe you read a book. Well, whatever it is, the place that you find wonder, start to engage that and let it help unlock more dreams and ideas to lead you to the right future. Okay, so that's good, but what else can you do? Well, another thing you can do is you can begin to simply find things that you're curious about. And instead of looking for the answers online, begin to find and craft a way to discover and be curious in that process. And in that, have wonder and awe for what you're seeing and unlock that future possibility by not taking the road traveled of the known road, but begin to question the status quo. Begin to question why something works or how something works or why the approach is the right approach. Think about alternative options for how you can create whatever you're trying to create or problem you're trying to solve. So that's your second step. And the third step is to find community. I know that sounds weird because much of today's episode has been about really getting alone to find wonder. But wonder can be found in conversation, and often is. Instead of being on our devices when we go out to eat with friends, instead of being engaged on social channels, sit down and have face-to-face conversations. This just happened tonight for me. I'm at New Media Summit in Austin, or not Austin, I was in Austin last time, in Florida. And one of my friends said, hey, a couple of us are getting together. We're just going to have dinner and we're going to explore possibilities when it comes to what we're doing and network and challenge each other. And so there was 8 of us there, and it was a really intentional time of wonder, learning about each other and wondering what we didn't know and learning things we didn't know about each other, of challenging each other on how we can make those dreams and ideas and next steps that we want to take possible. Part of wondering is getting around a community of people that challenge you to go further and deeper and unlocking that possibility. So today I want to encourage you, as we wrap up today's episode, find that place of wonder for you. Find that place of curiosity. Find that place that gets you out of the routine and into the unknown. And then begin to create that path. Begin to create a lifestyle that incorporates the power of wonder as part of your tool set. So it's up to you now. We all have dreams. We all have ideas. We all know that possibilities are out there. Possibilities of something better for us. Something that brings us to a place of significance and purpose. Something that unlocks our talents and our abilities so that we can offer it to the world. Begin to use wonder to unlock those things. And remember, the world needs you. We all need you to step up to the plate and dream big, chase those ideas, and change the world around you. Well, that does it for today's episode. It's been super fun for me. I hope you've enjoyed it too. Remember that on Tuesday, we are so excited to have and welcome onto the podcast Erwin McManus. You need to check out this episode. If there is any episode I'd recommend in the Jumble Think podcast, this is one that you have to check out. So check that out this Tuesday. Our episodes go live on Tuesday at 5:30 in the morning, East Coast time. And I, again, want to challenge you. You have dreams and purposes inside of you. You have ideas that the world needs to engage with. So it's time to step up and take the chance to make those things happen. As always, dream big, chase those ideas, and change the world around you.
Les mères de famille, les enfants, peuvent également prendre un moment revitalisant. Dans quelques mois, lorsque vous aurez bien saisi la technique et que vous serez maître de votre corps, vous pourrez vous décontracter même en travaillant.